Nice of everyone to come. Very nice to see you all here. So we might have to do everything in English. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone is. The idea of this was to launch the party, and at some stage I thought it would be great. We had heaps of journalists, and last night I thought I hope no one is coming. There's been a bit both of it, and then we decided that's really bad it's coming because we are doing this launch anyway, and we wanted to have a good, worthy place to be, and so this is why that's why we're here. And the reason we're doing it this weekend is that Guy is here talking at Världskulturmuseet, and we have the International Basic Income Conference for the weekend. It's a whole weekend with basic income. And I also wanted Guy to be here to explain why he supports me, because we've been talking about starting a party. I've been talking about it for quite a few years, and first you said no, and then you said yes, and then we said no, and we've sort of been debating backwards and forward if we should approach another party or not, but it wasn't worth approaching any parties in Sweden because they're not for basic income. So that's it. I decided, let's do it. And it's fantastic to be here and with the people that I work close with here in Sweden with the party too. We sent this press release out a few days ago, and I wasn't involved because I was involved in other things. And it was so nice to see all this conversation, the people that I work with, to share my visions. And I didn't have to do it, and they did it. And it's quite a fantastic feeling that something that I instigated, and more people are joining, and we're working really well together and find the right people to do the right thing, and to be able to make the vision believable for other people as well. I think that's the best thing of it all. So, Guy, I bribed you to say good things.
Well, first of all, Lena, I know that all of us in this room wish you every success, and it reminded me of that famous Chinese saying that every journey begins with a single step. I have been advocating and supporting basic income for more than 35 years, and I remember when we started Bien that even my friends and relations said you're mad, bad, and dangerous to know. And yet over the last few years, huge numbers of people around the world are coming out in support of basic income. And one of the things that you can do in this period running up to the general election in September and going forward is just start mobilizing a few people, just a few, who will help you join and take the thing forward. Last Saturday evening, I was invited to speak at the Geneva Human Rights Film Festival. And I'd been speaking at a big conference in England, so I had to go back to Geneva, and I didn't want to go, but I thought I shouldn't let people down. And I was told I would share the platform with Benoit Hamon. And again, I thought, it'd be nice to meet him. We had a drink beforehand, and we went. We thought there would be 3 people or something like that. And we went and we watched this film, and there were 600 people there, and they kept us with questions and answers till midnight. And I had a long discussion with Benoit, and as you probably all know, he stood as presidential candidate in France. He lost badly, but he said to me, he said, you know, I'm so pleased I've done it because it is mobilizing a lot of young French people to be coming out in support. And the momentum is there. Another man there was the founding person for the basic income referendum in Switzerland. I participated in that, and to start with, no money, no support, no voice. But gradually, they had to get 125,000 signatures. And gradually they got young people in various places, became enthusiastic. And they got those 125,000 signatures. And still, all of those who started the movement in Switzerland, they're not quite sure how they did it, right? And yet they've done it. The referendum was lost because all the other parties were against. The banks were against. A lot of people were against. And one man made a stupid mistake. He went on television and he was asked, how much should the basic income be? And he, instead of being political, and said it's got to be worked out, the affordability's got to be worked out, the level has to be gradually built, you know, be a politician. Instead of that, he blurted out, 2,500 Swiss francs a month. And all the people around Switzerland quickly did a back of the envelope calculation, and they worked it out that that was impossible, and the support plummeted. In the end, I thought it was quite an achievement that we got 23% support across Switzerland in those circumstances. We had no money, except a few people contributed. The enthusiasm carried it forward. But there was an opinion poll after that referendum, the week afterwards. And the referendum question was, do you think this is the end of the conversation or the beginning? And 68% of respondents across Switzerland said it is the beginning. And they were asked another question. Will basic income be introduced within the next 10 years? And the overwhelming majority said yes. And I think your job now is to help legitimize basic income, to help make it a serious conversation in Sweden. I've been here, as you know, and I'm your friend, and I'm supporting you, been here many times. And I think we've seen in the last couple of years a lot of enthusiasm that's latent. It's latent. A lot of people are afraid to come out of something that's radical, in favor of something that's radical. A lot of people are still puzzled, you know, what's it mean? What's it mean for me? Can we do it? Is it affordable? Etc. All the standard questions which I've addressed in this book. But I think your primary job now is to help articulate what it means, articulate the values behind it, and engender enthusiasm. Whenever I'm addressing an audience, I say to myself, Guy, the best thing is if there's one person who leaves this room with their views changed, that's success. Just one. Barb knows this. We've been in the trenches together, as it were, where you have those minimal objectives. And I don't think you should be thinking beyond that sort of objective. And I have confidence in you. I'm your friend. That's why I'm here today. Primarily because I'm your friend and I know you have integrity. You have the values that I hold dear. And I want you to have success. So I hope all of us in this room wish you the very, very best. Good luck.
My plan, or last night when we were talking, and I've been thinking of it, or how we're going to do this and explain it for all these journalists that had no idea about basic income. But I don't need to worry about that too much, since we already had discussion, you and me. But what I wanted to say in relation to what you say as well, that for me, basic income, it's the vision. It's a vision I want to make real for other people. And okay, we need to introduce basic income. That's not a big issue, but to come from that to this vision, to make that real, that's what we have to prove, that it works. We have to prove it. We have to have figures that you can show this will work. We have to use all the pilot projects and what happened in India. What happened with people when they give money? What do they do with them? Do they stop work? No. Do they waste them on alcohol? No. It's all this work that people have been working for many more years, and Björn has been there for 30 years too, and all this research to get the research and to get the activists and the grassroots people together to form these, to make a vision that everyone can take in and accept. I think that's sounds quite easy, but it's a hard thing to do. And you need help. You need to help people from different areas, and psychologists, behaviorists, or people that believes in this. And I do feel it's very exciting. And I'm so glad that you are all here, and just the beginning of the whole weekend. So instead of me talking more, because I don't want anyone here to walk away to change their views in this room today, because I think everyone is for basic income. Oh, there would be you in that case, but everyone else is. So we don't want that in this room, Guy. Here can everyone, because they believe it. Have you got any questions, or does anyone else have any questions? Yes, Ollie?
I would like to know, do you have a legal status right now? I mean, did you finish the formalities?
Yes.
So you are a...
We have sent in the forms that we are participating in the next election.
Yes. Great.
Yeah.
And once you've done that, what does that mean? Does it mean you get any platform at all anywhere?
Nothing. Everything is going to be volunteer work. The thing is, if you get in, you can get some money back, but we need to crowdfund to pay for our election papers, or the ballot papers. So it's all
the candidates.
all the candidates, and I'm putting a list together with candidates, and I feel a little bit like us, a little bit older, if we've seen that movie, Blues Brothers. Yeah. And they go out and they're putting the band together. I feel a little bit I'm putting this list together, and I'm collecting people that are politically minded but not party politicians. So I'm trying to have a big spectrum of people from different areas in life, from different groups, and they are very interested in politics, and they're interested in change, but they don't believe in traditional politics. They don't believe in the left and right scale. So it's more important to get people that believe in this change, and I think it's a lot easier to get people to vote for us when we're not politicians in the traditional meanings either, because so many people are lost. It was you wrote that nicely in the paper, and I told you this thing a few weeks ago or a few months ago. I went and saw a nurse, a district nurse, like a local nurse. She looked like a nurse should. She was proper and no nonsense woman, and she said, "So what are you working with?" So I told her, and I said, "I'm starting this party," and she said, "Oh, I've been waiting for that for 30 years. I'm going to vote for you." And she had no idea. She'd never heard about it before, but she just thought this idea is fantastic. And I think there's a lot of people out there that just wait for something new. They want something with a vision, but not just a vision that has no grounding, but a vision with a really good, solid ground. That's what we need to work on very, very hard. And that's why it's 2 years ago since we registered the party as an organisation, but we've been working very slowly to build it up, to get a good infrastructure, to get good people that wants to do it. We didn't want to rush. And it is less than 6 months, but I think things can change so quickly in today's media and the internet, so I think we actually got plenty of time. People don't have time to get tired of us either. We can just, So, yeah.
What's the meaning of the logo? It's quite colorful.
The meaning of the logo. So this is the logo. The meaning is that everyone is allowed to be in here. In Sweden, the different parties have different colors. So you got the red is Social Democrats and the blue is the Conservatives. It's all different. But here we can go together. We can actually work together. It's sort of it's time to move on, like away from the left and right scale. Why don't we work together? We need to work together. We need to change society. We need to look after the environment. We can't just stop doing this, and we need to work together to coexist. So that's what we decided. We have it all, and it's built on the 3 colors. Magna, Madeleine was
Red,
created.
green and blue makes
Yeah.
white light.
Yeah. And the white light, that's the B, that's basic income. So, and the
Do we
funny
have-
thing,
Do you have copies here?
yes, I do. 'Cause,
Good.
yeah. And in Ireland, they have the same for the basic income movement, but it's different kind of green colours.
Mhm.
So it must be
They
something.
just agree.
Yeah. So I do have more. Yes.
Good.
To share information regarding this press meeting, you have the web page and the Facebook page, I guess.
Yes.
So both have with these logos. You can
Yes.
use them.
Yes.
When they were started, I mean, when was the web page started?
Say it again.
This week? I mean,
That we have a web page.
alright,
Yeah.
this week, just this week.
No. We have. Oh, what do you mean?
When was it put up? When was it started?
The web page.
Web page.
We've had a web
party,
page
everything.
a year ago,
No,
year and a
no,
half.
With the logo, with the new entity.
The logo, everything is on the web page.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So that the logo is not new, the web page isn't new. No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's it.
How's the geographical spread, like of candidates? Like you said, you're putting together a list of
Yes.
candidates.
Yeah. At the moment, it's quite. I mean, this far it's been people that I know I have connection with. So it's quite a few from this area. I have someone from southern Sweden. I have Hanna. Hanna is on the list from Copenhagen.
Mm-hmm.
I have hopefully one from Gotland and a few different. I do want to have a spread of it as well. Yeah, and I also want to have a spread from country and city.
Mm-hmm.
And different background. But I'm not going to. We talked about this, and the aim is not to get the biggest spread or the biggest diversity. The aim is to get the best people on this list as well. Of course, I don't want all women or all men, but we're not going to focus that we have to tick off all the boxes to get all the different kinds in because
Sure.
you want the best. Yes, Martin.
I wanted to ask your opinion on the political situation for basic income in Sweden, because I know you worked a lot with Europe and different countries, and I noticed there was a huge survey of all the European countries, and Sweden were among the countries with the lowest support. It was only, I think, 32% that wanted basic income, which is quite a huge number. But what, in your view, is the difference between working for basic income in Sweden or in other countries?
I mean, other countries is a broader support, both on the grassroots level, but mostly from the academic levels. It's been talked about and written about it for many years, which it hasn't in Sweden. But I think it's changing very quickly. One of the most conservative newspapers had last week and the week before, they had a columnist that writes about the stock market, and he wrote about that it's actually possible to have a basic income. So I did mail him, of course, if he could come today, and he couldn't. But he thought it was really interesting that we started a party, and he wished us the best and wanted to know what's happening. So I think when it starts to talk about it in different groups, like in this newspaper, for example, I think that can change. So I think it can go very quick. And then when people start to realize, aha, it is happening more and more in other countries, so we are actually behind. And then we realize, oh, it's nothing new. It's not just Lena and the Basic Income Party that have some crazy idea. This is a worldwide thing. We just need to open our eyes for it. So I think it will spread quick, actually.
Can we tease out some more further information on this 32%? Did that mean that what percentage was against?
I don't think the
you-
question was I read it. I can't remember.
Yeah, it
I
was.
mean,
It was
what
the
was the
European.
exact
it was,
question?
Yeah, it was the European Social Survey,
Oh, that one. Yeah.
and I know better the figures for the UK, of course, because that's where I've been working. But what was interesting in the UK was that there was about 50% support, and it's probably not the same in Sweden, but what I found particularly interesting was that it was more popular than traditional welfare. So they do a question where they say, do you support people without a job being supported by the state? And there was 42% for that. And then there was 50%, but over 50% support for basic income in the way they described it, and they described it quite closely to the Vienne definition. So individual, non-withdrawable, and actually they also said enough to live on and paid for, and then they also said paid for by taxes. Okay, so they didn't say which taxes. What was also interesting was that there was, and this is maybe something to tease out for the Swedish bit of the survey, was that there was a huge amount of support from people under 35.
That's right.
So, yeah, it was like 65% support. And again, across the whole of Europe, it worked out to about 50-50 support. And again, about 60 or a bit over 60% support from people under 35. And I think that's it's a point that we really need to emphasize to other politicians or other places where we're talking about this, where we're getting, like in the UK, we're getting quite a bit of pushback from the center left and from think tanks, and they don't seem to understand that this is actually a popular policy. They kind of, because they've never been out on the street with it, they've never actually spoken with people about it. I mean, it's people, there's a kind of visceral reaction, pro or anti, but we're getting many more pro people when we talk to people on the street. Partly because in the UK the situation is just getting so terrible with people working too hard, and the benefit system is collapsing, the health system's collapsing, and then we've got Brexit. So.
But that's so interesting with the young people, because that is one of the groups. I can be very strategic, and I've sort of looked at different groups. Who can gain on having, I know the whole world will gain on basic income, but if you're going to, you have to zoom it down. So students, so if you have a basic income, when you leave high school, you have an education.